Hey, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoble, and you are on the lifeboat. What's happening? Hope everybody is doing well. Uh, well, we made it through Wednesday, right? This is the over the hump day. But I am actually going to need you guys to bail me out. I got nothing to talk about tonight. I really don't. I'm not even kidding you. I got nothing to talk about. I guess here, you know what? Here's an icebreaker. I do have something to talk about. Hello, everybody. I'm glad that you're here. Here's a little something that I can talk about. To get the ball rolling. Hey, there it is. What's up, MVB? Good to see you. Glad that you're here, man. Long time friend of the boat. In fact, the first person to ever hear what the boat was. Right there. Why are you not on game night? Well, I wasn't invited to game night. I wasn't invited to game night. But you know something? The one of the things that's a bummer is that with Aaron doing the auditing, which I think is great, right? I really do. I think what he's doing is fantastic. But he goes live at our 5 o'clock hour, and now Reese has been doing the 5 o'clock hour now as well. And you know what, people? I love having people here, but all we're doing is hurting other creators in the same genre, which is a bummer because unlike, I mean, it is, no, it's not, you'll hear everyone say it doesn't matter because they're going to go and catch the other creators when they're not live. And I get that. Right. But if 130 people were leaving comments on if everybody had brought all the audience to one place at the same time, right? What that algorithm will run with this, they'll go, holy hell, look at this. But instead we're dividing a very strong audience up at times that, and I'm probably the one that can make that stop. I've been doing the 5 o'clocks forever, but you know what? I could probably go an hour earlier and keep everybody from I don't feel like competing with people that I'm friends with. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me at all. So I'm probably going to, I mean, the three of us go live every single night at the same time. So I just may go earlier, right? No harm, no foul, right? I don't think that's going to hurt too many people. Grandkids galore. Wow, you got a lot of them, huh? How to watch game night. Well, you know what? Some people dig game night, some people don't. I had a really good time when I was on it. I'll be honest with you. I laughed really, really hard on that. I really did. You know what? That's really a cool thing to say. We need you there, entertainment. That's a really cool thing to say. It's interesting that you're the only one having this thought, Pops. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I am the only one. I have 4 windows open. Your times are your times, period. You know what? I love that, Lisa. I really do. And I love that people can do that. Actually, I watched and liked Reese. Oh, before she, nice. That's good. They've been up and running. Fantastic. Henny, good to see you. And there is always something to talk about. Hello, Johnny Scoville. Johnny Scoville there. Chase the heat. Mary says not interested in game night. Like I said, you know what? I get a kick out of it. I get a kick out of it. Thanks, Rose K. I'm glad that you're here, man. But we did have 5 first. You know what? Maybe I won't. You know what? I definitely don't want pushback. I don't want anybody bummed out about it. Well, you know what? We'll see what happens. Well, I'm honored there, my Jersey girl. I'm honored. Thank you. Balake, good to see you. I'll tell you what, people, I'm happy as a pig in mud that we're doing what we're doing. The lifeboat is outperforming itself massively. From a YouTube standpoint, we're going yard. We're about as successful as anyone has ever been successful. Carousel Delirium, thank you so much. Another ensign. Aaron, you know what? Aaron was a massive shot in the arm to the lifeboat, and I got mad love for Aaron. And if it came right down to it, I probably would back the thing off an hour. And it isn't a size thing; it's a respect thing. This was a dude that really has done an awful lot to put the boat in a much better position, consistently. And I do appreciate the hell out of that. And I'm nothing if not faithful. I promise you that. I'm nothing if not faithful. Hey, Phases of the Moon. This is unbelievable. Are you serious? This is, you know what? This saga has had more endings than Gone with the Wind, right? But I believe this is it. Well, hold on a second. This is absolutely incredible. We've joked about this 100 times, have we not? This is it. This guy's a dirtbag, people. Her ex is a dirtbag. This is a guy that is exactly where he needs to be. And we've been waiting a very, very long time for this. Congratulations, V. How good is that? That is cool, man. I'm not kidding you. This is way over a year in the making. Just here on the boat. Forget how long you've been fighting that in your life. Anne, thank you so much, Anne. And I hope that you are doing well. I really do. I'm glad that you're here, Anne. I'm glad that you're all here. I'm really glad that you are all here. He is in Shelton Prison. Well, I hate to be the first to say this, but I hope he's not enjoying himself. Sweet Tea, are you doing Reno? Wait a second. Are you in Reno? It's 18 degrees, no actual windows here. Oh my goodness. That just sounds awful and cold. You know what? I've come to realize that the thank you, ANC. Virginia, good to see you. Thank you, ANC. Compliment for your channel. When you go to your channel, you like on YouTube, you guys are squarely on top. Truly love your crew and your people in the chat. I love the people in the chat too. I absolutely love the people in this chat. For real. On days where I'm not doing well, on days where I don't feel like doing this, it is the crowd that keeps you coming back and doing it. I promise. It's not, it's not anything else. It's definitely the crowd keeping you coming back. Renovations. There you go. Oh goodness. So I've been deep diving on a lot of different things, and Mexican Messler. I really got to get better at that. You know what? This is all right, people. The boat has spoken. It has always been that way. It will always be that way. Looks to me like you guys would prefer that I continue. Chili Phil, good to see you. You guys would prefer that I continue to do this from the fives, live on the fives, then we'll do it. Your boat. I just got a wicked good seat. And I do have a really good seat. Boy, we have some cool stuff coming up on the boat and the bus. The bus and the boat are going to be doing some really, really cool stuff here in the very near future. Oh, Johnny Scoville's been busy. Look at that. Same here. Tommy and Johnny keep me going. You know what? I'm getting a lot of really positive feedback on my brother. This has never happened, right? This is bizarre, right? This is really, really bizarre because it's always gone in the other direction. So don't think I'm not giving him hell about this. Don't think I'm not really laying it on thick. If I see somebody that I'm 100% sure was here before they go over to the bus, oh boy, I just will not let him live it down. Hey, is that one of those? Is that a lifeboater over there? Because he, honestly, I think the first probably 1,000 people he did came over from the bus and did it in about 4 or 5 hours. I mean, we did have to eat some really disgusting foul fish, and Mark Wages helped a lot too. But we had a goal of hitting 1,000, and we did. And we hit it very, very quickly. But it's very, very cool that the lifeboaters are going over and checking out my brother. He is very, very cool. He really is. He's a good dude, and he's one of the few people that you will see that I promise you is the same off camera that is on camera. You know something? You are the second person to ask me this today. No, I have not, and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look at it. But I did a show a long time ago where I talked about this. I did. I don't know if I could possibly find it, but we did a show where I probably spent 45 minutes talking about the possibilities of implants in the brain because Kurzweil, I think is the guy's name. I always get his name wrong. Very, very wealthy man that is of the firm belief that we don't have to die because the computer thing is going to take care of that. We can bond with machines and never have to worry about it. Holy mackerel, people, check this out. But I am going to look into that, I promise. It frightens me. It frightens me. The whole human and machine transhumanism thing scares me. Seventh, 100 days alcohol free. One of the most honest cats, one of the most faithful cats, has been with the boat since the very, very beginning. And you know what? Has fallen and got back up. Has fallen and got back up, and is just one of us. You know, absolutely one of us. And oh, grandkids galore! A new subscriber to him. Good. See that? I'll rub that one in too. Well, and you know what's about to happen is my brother has a reality show that is coming out on Sunday. So I got to get all this in before then, because I probably won't have much to say after that. He does need a week off. You know, Johnny should be on a cruise. I believe you on that. He brought a lot of us to you, says Joel Lawson. Yep, there's no question. Johnny just needs to do a pepper in a basket. Not a bad idea. It would have to be a really good sized pepper.
He would never make it to the end of the show.
Yeah, he'd eat it before then. He doesn't have that kind of self-discipline. The man eats peppers. Like, it's not a joke. He eats peppers when no one's looking. You know, that's Johnny Scoville. I promise you. That's what I said. You know, whether the camera is on or not, man. The dude's eating cameras eating peppers when the cameras are off. When no one's looking, he's still eating peppers. He's a weirdo. He is a weirdo. Yeah, he's solid, but he's got mad issues. There's no mistaking it. Hey, TDK. How are you? Elon Musk found his first patient for Neuralink. Oh, you know what, man? I'm good. Does this scare you people? There you go. You know what? Let's open this door because this is a fun one. Transhumanism. How do you feel about the synergy, the coming together of man and machine? How do you like the potential for this? How do you like the idea that there are people out there that think that they can make you better than God designed or nature designed or whatever makes you happy? How does that make you feel? 100 days. That is a permanent, for real. What the WTF is slow mode. Okay, Mick, what happens is if we really are cooking, right, when the chat rate gets above 13-ish, if we don't slow it down, it gets really, really bad. Thank you, Layla. I don't wear this color blue very often. Seventh, you're a beast, man. I'm so impressed with you. I cannot tell you. For real. WP says, can't see Tommy, can't hear him, and see chat. I think it is just you. Can I get a 5x5? Let me toss one of those out. My neighbor invited me to dinner tonight, and I went. My neighbor invited me to dinner tonight, and I went. I struggle with being a hermit, and thanks to the boat, I am doing better. Well, did you have a good time, Lori? Was this fun? I'm impressed. You know what we call that? We call that stepping out of our comfort zone, right? We call that stepping out of our comfort zone. Veronica Bombria says, you know what? Scares the hell out of me. Yeah, it scares the crap out of me too. I am of the firm belief that, thank you everybody on the 5x5. I'm of the firm belief that this is scarier than not. Well, I'm not doing this. There's no chance in hell I'm putting anything in my hand to pay for anything. Never gonna happen, right? Not gonna happen. Not in my lifetime. It isn't gonna happen. Yeah, you know what? Look, I believe. I'm telling you right now. I don't intend to ever have any of it done to me. That said, it is one of those things that people will make decisions on personally. I'm not mad at people who choose another direction. I wouldn't do it for all of the gold on the planet. Would I allow any of this technology to be put into my body? And you know something? I don't want them extending my life through any of that. Got no desire. Maybe I'm the only one, but I'm gonna do everything I can on this planet while I can. Really trying to do some things that I'm very excited about, and I think that we're in the process of trying to leave the Earth a better place than we found it. Right? But when the time comes, I'm ready to go to the other side. Pretty stoked about it, actually. They use the same technology they used to treat Parkinson's, so it isn't new, just a new application. Yeah, there are seizures that have been treated with this as well. I know that they've done some other things with it. You know, these are technologies that they've been playing with for a long time. The applications are getting very interesting, but there are some people out there that are very, very juiced on the concept of synergy of man and machine. It scares the hell out of me, man. Really does. This, I got to tell you, people, a long time ago, MVB was in a chat on another channel, and I had just done my world record tube of terror and um, slugging back all of the tincture. Right, I was just coming off that, and we were launching the boat. So it was the 30th of July, and or right before then. And he was talking about struggling with substances, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm not open for business yet, but let me tell you a little bit about what we do." Right, and it was very cool. It really was. It was a great opportunity, and he is a friend and just a solid member of the boat. And it's I'm always blown away when you meet people from the other side of the planet, and nothing is different. Nothing, right? We all go through the same stuff. The addiction doesn't matter where you live, right? The substances changed. All of the stuff is it just repeats itself. But I'm really glad that you are here. Another cat that has been really open and honest and doing great. Could not be happier for you, man. Could not be any happier for you. Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared by the machines, man. I'm scared by the machines. I'm scared by the synergy of it. That is an absolutely great film. I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen it, but I've listened to it, and it's a great film. And I absolutely love it. Yeah, clearly we have 18,000 people fired up, right? How cool is that? Yeah, the 18,000 is a big thing. I was very, very excited about the 18,000. It really was. That's a huge milestone for us. And I remember, yeah, I mean, I remember when 18,000 sounded like a lot, a lot, and it is. But it's funny how um, each time you kind of get to the next level, then the previous one starts to look like it should have been way easier to attain. Really, um, you know what? We haven't done this yet today. This is for Taekwondo because I am just super impressed with people who are open and honest and willing. It's a rare thing, I promise you. There are a lot of people that talk about wanting to change, but to be honest and open, that's a very, very difficult thing to do. Yeah, coughs. The new addiction is cough syrup and Mucinex. They've been doing these combinations of over the counter stuff for a really long time, and they kind of come in and out of fashion every 7 years, for real. About once every 7 years, because what happens is all of the kids that are in school are gone, right? And now there's a new a new fad that catches on. But usually it's like really serious amounts of dextromethorphan. That's one of the diphenhydramine is another. These are drugs that can be pretty dangerous in large quantities, but that's exactly what these kids tend to do. They do way more of this crap than they were intended to do, and that causes what might feel like a narcotic effect to people who have not done a lot of narcotics. But yeah, kids, the reason these catch on is because you can walk into a damn store and buy it, or better yet, walk in and steal it, right? You know what? I agree with you. This is the truth, Lisa. This is really the truth. And I'm always I'm always really impressed with people willing to change. And it's why we do what we do here. So it's exciting whenever people are open and honest. And you know something, it's always going to just make you far more likely to get to the finish line. You know, I was going to read the comments of a couple of people that I kicked out, but in the last video, we had a couple of people that popped up and said some really, really stupid stuff, right? And I will visit some of it because it's worthy of talking about. Scissor up is a little different, right? Scissor up is a little different. That is an actual narcotic, right? This comes in a couple of different varieties, you know, codeine, promethazine, but it is cough syrup with punch, right? With actual opiate in it, and they mix that, you know, with whatever the good tasting, you know, Kool-Aid or whatever, and you know, it really just becomes it's a cool thing, and it's the new thing, and once they start rapping about it, we're all in trouble. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. It's like anything else. If you put it into yeah. Once you put it into the lexicon. Well, thank you. I would be a hermit if not for all of you. I actually went to court today for a client. Told him about the lifeboat. Well, thank you. And we're very happy, man. How cool is it that you're out and doing it, right? You know what? This is awful, but I got to do it. You know what? I love Ayn Rand. I'm sorry. I love Ayn Rand. I love that book. Atlas Shrugged was one of my dad was a huge fan of the book Atlas Shrugged. My father was the person that turned me on to that book. And I read it late in life. I kind of wish I had read it a little earlier in life, but I read it late in life. And since then, I've recommended it to a lot of people. It's a great book. It really is a great book. Mick Moore, I don't know that I've heard it called Drank, but I wouldn't be surprised. You know, in my day we had NyQuil. Yeah. And you know what? And in the early on in our days, they were you know, they used to put some heavy stuff in cough syrup. They used to put some really heavy stuff in cough syrup. That has changed dramatically. Right now they do not at all. And now it tends to be safer than it used to be, but there are always going to be people that are going to take way more of something. Yep. This was our Kristen. This was our generation's abuse, right? Dimetap was one of the ones that really caught fire, and there was one particular kind of it that was purple, right? You didn't want the other ones; you wanted the purple one. But that was our generation's version of this. There's been a host of them since, but I remember the Dimetap thing going nuts. I remember kids walking around with bottles of Dimetap. It's bad stuff. I mean, anything that if you gotta take 40 times what the dose is in order to get high, you're not getting high the way you were supposed to, right? You're not getting high the way you were supposed to. I promise it's a bad thing. Wages World sent us, sir. I'm gonna tell you something. That is my co-captain. If you guys have never seen any of the old shows, on the other side of the glass was my other captain, Mark Wages, and there's nobody more on the same page with me when it comes to views on sobriety, views on everything. I honestly, Mark's as good as they get. He's as good as they get. He really is, and he is always the co-captain of this boat. Make no mistake, whether he's sitting there or not, he always is, and he always will be. 6 months sober today. Oh boy, that's worthy. Oh boy, is that worthy. Squirrel is gonna just explore, I guess. 6 months, half a year. Boy, oh boy. That is fantastic, Guacaholic. Good for you. Could not be happier. That is great stuff. Squirrel, we're not walking on the computer. You're a good kitty, but we're not walking on the computer. Lisa says, loved Atlas Shrugged, but I liked Fountainhead more. It was based on the architect Frank Lloyd Wright. I want to tell you something about Frank Lloyd Wright. If you have, there is a book on Frank Lloyd Wright. a biography that was written about him. And it, I wish I could remember it's called Frank Lloyd Wright and the something experiment. Tunisian, I'm going to forget it, but I read it in prison. And when I was done reading it, I started on the first page and read it again. You talk about a fascinating cat. I mean, a really fascinating cat. And he had a very, very interesting wife, right? Had a very, very interesting wife. And he had a relationship with a guy that could only be described as a Svengali or he was the head of a dance cult, right? And a real hit with the women. They talk about it in the book that he could bring a woman to pleasure from across a room in restaurants. It was one of his tricks. Hell, sounds like a hell of a trick. But if you ever get a chance, if you could look up this book, his life was more bizarre than anyone's. I promise you. The book does a great job of really picking apart Frank Lloyd Wright from birth to the end of it all, and it is one of the most unbelievable stories. I'm not joking. The second I got to the end of it, I started at the beginning and went and read it again. He is a very, very interesting human being, right? Very, very interesting human being. Look of skepticism. I don't blame you. I'm telling you, it's absolutely worth reading the book. Yeah, if you read the book, I promise. I was a fan prior to the book, to reading the book, but all I had ever seen, 18 years. Good for you. 18 years. That'll hold them. That's what the fellas say. Well, that'll hold them. That's what the fellas say. Oh, Lisa Wilson, you will thank me later. Now, I'm going to warn you, right? You're going to walk away with a very different opinion of the man. Now, whether or not you like or dislike him when it's over, because he was a guy that kind of ran a benevolent cult of sorts. He had a lot of men that volunteered for him, that worked at that lived and worked at his fellowship, and you got to read that. I won't spoil the book. Please read the book. I promise you, Lisa, you will be very happy that you did. The Tunisian experiment. I don't know. If you Google it, you're going to come up with it. And I did see one of the coolest comments ever. So let me get back here and pick this thing up. It was from Guac. There it is. Booyah. That is a cool comment. Thank you all. I am loving sobriety this time. Finally, it took a lot of failures to finally get to this point, but it's so worth it. Damn straight it is, right? And it's just going to continue to get better. You will have struggles. I promise. You're going to have days that are going to be rugged to get through. But if you got through 180 of them, you've already had those days, right? You've already had a pile. Rinse and repeat. Do what got you this far for the rest of your time on planet Earth. But do not believe that at some point, you're going to have it all figured out, right? And at that point, I'll be able to get high again, right? I'll be able to get high again at that point. No, you won't. I promise. There's no such thing as that. I can do it just once. Everybody's tried, but it just doesn't work. Talesian, does that sound? I think that sounds right. What books am I reading now? Currently, I am reading a book about Ethan Allen. It is Green Acres, Ben. I'm sorry. I've been addicted to that. I've been doing that my whole life. I don't know. Probably since I saw it. Chili Phil says, my sobriety has been a blessing. No question, right? Russ, good to see you. Love it. Thank you all for the support. If you're struggling, just know it is possible. I was so gone in my addiction. And the fact that I made it out to the other side is an absolute miracle. You can get this. You know what? It takes an absolute miracle for somebody to get sober. I say it every day. It takes a miracle, right? It takes a miracle to get sober. But those puppies are a dime a dozen. I promise you, man, those miracles are a dime a dozen. It is a miracle. Make no mistake, because there are people that just can't be helped. It's sad, but there are people that just cannot be helped. Doesn't mean I won't try. I'll try every single time they fall and get back up. But I have come to the realization that there are people that get a little bit too far and there's no coming back. Again, I will never, ever stop trying to help them, but it's just not going to. If somebody Googles that book, I promise you're going to come up with the name of it. Where's Spanx Calhoun? Somebody look up what the name of the book, the biography of Frank Lloyd Wright is. And you're going to see something fellowship written in the title. Run with that one. That's going to be the one. So if you can get that up for me, that would be. You keep Googling, but you can't find it. This is frightening. This is frightening. Good Lord. Well, J.D. Sinclair. This is Thank you, Lisa Wilson. Lisa found it. Hold on. Tommy, I had a 0.5 for a blood alcohol content. Do you know what? I can truthfully say you're the highest I've ever heard. How's that? That's the top of the food chain. I have heard of 4 and change, like 4.6, I think. I've never heard of anybody getting to 5. That is incredible. You are dead, right? They say 4 and above. Technically, you're supposed to be dead. At 5, it is absolutely incredible that you were alive. Yeah, there you go. The Fellowship, the untold story of Frank Lloyd Wright and the Taliesin Fellowship. I tell you what, not bad for memory from a guy that has got some memory issues, right? All the way right off the top of my head. And just know that that was one of, like, I can't tell you how many nonfiction books that I read when I was in prison. There's no way to tell you how many, but that's just one of a bunch. But by way of full disclosure, I read that book more than once. And then I got to another yard and it was on the book cart. And sometimes you keep a book like that and you sell for lockdowns, because if you get locked down and you start reading a book and it sucks, you're like, oh God, you got to be kidding. And it's the only thing you got. So I used to keep a couple of really good books in my cell that I could read over and over and over again and not bum out. Wolf of Wall Street was one of those books. I could laugh hysterically through that entire book. The movie's fun, but Jordan Belfort's voice, like when you hear Jordan Belfort's voice as he goes through the book, and he's just, I mean, really funny. He's out there, but he's really, really funny. Yes, correct. And that is where he had the commune, so to speak. And I can't really go too much more into it than that. I do not want this to be a spoiler alert for anybody involved. This story is so unbelievable. I'm really looking forward for some of you to start reading this. When you come back and say, hey, I'm reading it, I'm telling you, this is a fascinating story, and it's well written. You'll dig it. I couldn't put it down. It's one of those books that, keep you from going to lunch kind of thing. Hunt for Red. You know what? Tom Clancy in general is very, very popular among the fellas when you're in the shoe, because it takes a lot of time up. It's the given name of Merlin. Well, I did not know. How about that? How about that? I love that. Don't go anywhere without a book. I'm telling you, that was what I got in trouble for more in prison than anything. And I got in trouble in prison a lot, right? But I got in trouble more for books than anything else. They had a limit to the number of books you could have in your cell. And I was never anywhere close to what that limit is. And the crazy thing is, my cellmates, very rarely did I have a cellmate who was a huge reader. So I'd say, hey man, like, this pile of books belongs to you. And they'd go, yeah. And then they'd come in and write up both of us, because I'd have 4 times more books than we were supposed to get. You got busted for 0.18 when I was 18 years old, coincidentally. And I remember how drunk I was at the pandemic more, right? So when you start thinking about 5, right? Or what, 20 times the legal limit in almost everywhere? Right? Almost 20 times the legal limit. That's absolutely horrific, right? Lori Hart, I respect that. You read a lot of history. You know what I will read? Here's what this is my exception, right? Because you hear me say all the time, I don't read fiction. It's not entirely true. Okay. I actually read a lot of I actually read a lot of fiction, but I read historical fiction. Bernard Cornwell, for instance, is a guy that writes historical fiction. I am really into his work. And I read, while I was in prison, I read everything he had done. He's prolific as hell, which would lead me to believe that he's probably written a lot since I got out. I don't do any of the, I don't do anything, even historical fiction. I don't do any nonfiction. Inside, you run out of nonfiction, and then you have to do like historical fiction. Oh, Lakeshore Drive. Nice. The you know what? Some of the most iconic buildings in the world, the Johnson and Johnson building, I think it's called. Really, really beautiful. You love my laugh. It's soothing to your heart. How about that? I'm glad. I could not be any happier. All right, Lisa, I'm going to hook you up, right? I'm going to hook you up. For the readers, I'm going to hook you up, right? Shadowram. There's a book called Shadowram. I promise, read this. You will not be bummed out that you did. It's about a guy that leaves, that escapes prison in Australia and goes to India, right? You're going to have to check the spelling. But Shantaram, right? I'm not exactly sure how to spell a Shantaram. These are the things I'm not good at. But I remember that book. And that's one that I've probably read half a dozen times, maybe more. Yes. Well, we're not doing that, right? Oh, you know what, Mischief Managed? This is such a cool question. This is such a cool question. What is a book that changed your life? Mine was Jonathan Living Seagull's. Yeah, when I was 12, made me question things I was told. Great book, right? Absolutely a great book. Set the entire world on fire. That's one of those books that set the world on fire. Good story behind it as well. There have been a lot of books that really changed my my life. This is one of them right here. No joke. That's one of them. It was really incredible because I came up from downstairs, right? Upstairs in the shoe, right? So Gregory David Roberts, that is the book right there. This is my guy. This is my guy. He wrote two, by the way. There's a sequel to it. Fantastic, right? Great book. But don't read that until you definitely read this one first. But when I was handcuffed and they beat the crap out of me, the Harry Potter series, you keep that in your cell. That's great. That'll buy you 6 months, right? For real. 6 months of slow reading, a lockdown. Everybody loves Harry Potter. There's a lot of Harry Potter in there, to be sure. There is a lot of Harry Potter inside. I had just gotten beat up by cops, right? Pretty badly, actually. Yeah, I mean, they tuned me up pretty good. And when I came upstairs to my cell, my cellmate had that book in there, and he looked at me and went, "What the hell happened to you?" And I said, "I just got the crap beat out of me and I hit a cop. I shouldn't have." Yeah, so they tuned me up, and he said, "I got a book you got to read. It's perfect timing." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "This guy got beat up a lot by cops." He said, "You'll enjoy this book." He said, "And you can keep it." And I did the same thing after I let that go. Great book, Stranger in a Strange Land, by Robert Heinlein. This is another book that set the world on fire, right? It's about an alien that comes from another planet, quite fond of water, quite fond of people giving him water. And a word came out, I believe it was grok, right? Grok, I think is how they spelled it. But it meant And we're here, right? Like, kind of man, I see you, but it means I see you, I understand you. It's like you get it. It's the all encompassing I get it kind of a thing. But boy, oh boy, there were a lot of people. They wanted to turn the author into they wanted to turn him into a religious kind of a figure. And he was like, hey man, back off. I wrote a book, which is really odd because, do they bring in newly published books? No, they do not. However, the fellas order them, right? And we bring all of the stuff in and it ends up in ourselves. And they come by and they say, hey, you got 10 too many books. We're taking them. And they will randomly take 10 of them off the top. And they're going to end up in the library. They're going to end up on the book cart, right? Because you can only travel with so much of them. Percy Jackson, I read that series. That's a great book series. The Picture of Dorian Gray, great book. Right? Great book. Yeah, I read a lot. I really read a lot. Grok means understanding without the experience. It really had a lot of people, like they were going to this dude's house and like, parking out in front and talking about how, this was like life changing. And he's like, man, I wrote a sci-fi book. You know what I mean? Like you've gotten way too into it for real. He probably had the potential to really get out of control, but he just wasn't that guy. Lord Kiss Freak, my brother. Dorian Gray is a great book. Queen Lamb, I have not read. I do not know that one. Yeah, I'm a fan of the library. It was one of the places that you could escape when you were in prison. You go to a library, and I read the Twilight series too. Look, in county jail, you're not getting anything other than fiction. So I read all of the fiction. Like I was in county jail over a year, twice. Not bad skiing. There you go, Michigan. Look, I actually know a grip of people in from that part of the world that were excellent skiers. Let me see here. Louis L'Amour. Let me tell you something about Louis L'Amour. If there's a place with bars, they have 150 Louis L'Amour books on the book cart. It is absolutely a guarantee that there is at least 150 of them on the book cart. And there are people who only read those, and they are into them. They are super into him. He was prolific as hell. Megan, I really and honestly respect your honesty. I'm going to leave that up there for a long time because this is the kind of therapy I think you need. I'm gonna leave that embarrassment up there for a minute. I feel like we need a chat for it. Hi, I'm Megan, and I have read all of the Twilight books. Yes. Yep. Don't put your glasses on. You're not sliding by either. Trust me when I say you're not sliding by either. Yeah, you should be ashamed. Look, I had no option. Right? Honestly, there was nothing else there. Yeah, Shanaram. I promise you read Shanaram, but the book that changed my life more than any other. I mean, obviously, like I am a believer, so the Bible is obviously a really big deal. And Alice in Wonderland, very very big deal. Right? I mean, I have a lot of ink that's Alice. I have a collection of stuff. I am just very very. I'm an Alice guy. That book changed my life. It really did. It did. In high school, a friend got in trouble because every book report was on Louis L'Amour. That's actually kind of classic. Calhoun, what are you doing there? You're half naked. See, that's the problem with kids. Clothing on. The grass is always greener on the other side of the septic tank. Wow. Did I read The Count of Monte Cristo? Yes, I did. And it is an excellent, excellent book. Another one that I have read many times. It is one that I have read. It is one that I have read multiple times. It's a great story. Absolutely a great story. Uh, and popular, obviously, in prison for a lot of reasons. That's a great story if you're incarcerated. It really is, right? You're really you can escape in more than one way, right? That's the dream. You want to get out and be famous and head back in there. And do you know what? You need to know that you're not alone, because I am, right. I got Alice, right? Like if you see me, you're gonna know I'm an Alice in Wonderland fan. There's no getting around it. So inevitably, people come up to me, male and female, and tell me that Alice in Wonderland traumatized their youth, and they've never ever gotten back. I remember Irma Bombeck. I absolutely remember Irma Bombeck. She was funny. She wrote, she used to write not just books. Didn't she have a column too? The Odyssey is a great story. That was a really good one. The Iliad, the Odyssey. Oh, a reference to Shawshank. Shawshank is no, I hear it all the time. It definitely messed with a lot of people's youth. I'm blown away by that, but a lot of people, I hear it all the time. Wait a second. Are you allowed to say Pennywise here? Haven't we talked about this? I believe we had a discussion about Pennywise. If we have a lifeboat historian, right? Somebody that's been here a long time has got to back me up on this. I have gone on record saying that I don't really want to even think about Pennywise. Yeah, Pennywise is frightening. Very frightening. Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm a huge Shakespeare fan. Massive, massive Shakespeare fan. Gulliver's Travels, another great one. And My Green Acres is like Ed Norton starting every song with Swanee River. The Honeymooners are great. Really, really great. Trixie died the other day. Trixie from The Honeymooners just passed away. I loved that. You're right. Disney gave a version of that book, obviously, that they could not have made the book. The book is not a children's book. I mean, as much as it is nice and you can read it to kids, the vast majority of what's going on in that book, most adults can't pick up. You need an annotated version of that book, right? Alice is a book that you can study probably for your entire life, because the guy was writing weird stuff about what was going on, in that time period. Like, imagine if I wrote a kid's story today and I was bagging on the left and the right and all of the political, right, and the characters that I was inventing were based on Biden or Trump or whatever. And that just weaved itself through, right? But there's not really any kind of a they didn't annotate it. So when it went out, it very much reads like a kid's book until you start to put together who the Mad Hatter is, right? And who all of these people are. We into poets too. Some. I'm a pretty big fan of Robert Frost. I like Robert Frost stuff a lot. There are poets I like. The other cat, the guy that wrote Gunga Din, everything he did was incredible, in my opinion. Everything he did. Stephen King, I read a lot of Stephen King. What's great about Stephen King is one book can get you through about 9 months of lockdown. Like if you get the, what was that one? The Stand, good Lord. You talk about a commitment. Let's not talk about Charlotte's Web. I never dug it. Yeah, Rudyard Kipling. There you go. Thank you very much. Rudyard Kipling. That was driving me nuts. The Dark Tower series by Stephen King starts out with the gunslinger guy, got a drug problem. I've read that too. Shogun, that whole series, man. Read that entire series. Excellent. Excellent. That whole series is so fantastic. Shogun, Gaijin, King Rat, Noble House. Oh, there's so many I'm missing, but I've read them all. There's so many I'm missing. but I have read them all. You know what? When you got nothing but time, you'd be really shocked the number of books you can bang out. Right? I didn't. I could not. Yeah, Shogun was a great book. It was really, really a fantastic book. Gunslinger is slow, but the rest of the series are amazing. I dug it. I even like the Gunslinger. Truman Capote's in Cold Blood. Yeah, that's tough. King Rat was a good book. All of those were Gaijin, Noble House, everything that cat wrote. Like that was really a great series. You know what? I wish Poe's stuff was longer. Like Edgar Allan Poe's fun to read, but you know, you can knock out all of his works in a couple of days, right? If not less. Is it lame? I love Jane Austen and can read it over and over again. If it is, if that's lame, I would imagine that there are a lot of lame people, right? Because I know a grip of people that read that book a lot. I know a lot of people who read that book a lot. Mary Jones, my brother-in-law had a boat called the Dawn Treader. Big fan of of that whole series. Lovecraft. I read all the Lovecraft stuff too. This right here. This is my second favorite book of all time, right? Alice in Wonderland being my favorite book. This is my second favorite book. Catcher in the Rye is absolutely an amazing book. It really is. Clive Barker, Hellraiser. Just saying the name Clive Barker scares me. Just having to say it out loud. Clive Barker. It's just one of those scary names, man. For real. Yee. And C says that I'm lame too. See, I knew that. Yeah, Jane Austen wrote several books, Tommy. I know she did. I'm aware. And so did her sister, right? The sisters were cranking them out. They made the Dawn Treader into a movie. I did not know that. Oh, you can't go wrong reading everything by Hunter S. Thompson, though. You know what? If we had more time, I got a really great Hunter S. Thompson story, but it requires a whole lot more time. Are you a Moby Dick fan? That's one you're fond of? That book was not popular. Bookworms, right? That book was not popular when it came out. It got popular years later. I think when teachers wanted us to torture us in ninth grade and make us write what our white whale was and come up with all of the theories and this and that. Call me Ishmael. Some years ago, having little or no money in my purse, I thought I would sail about and see the watery part of the earth. It is a way I have of driving off the spleen whenever it is a damp and drizzly November in my soul, whenever I feel like knocking people's hats off in the street. I counted high time to get back to sea. Something along those lines. Been a long time. But at one point, I had a lot of that book memorized. The Hells Angels book kind of put him on the map, right? Hunter S. Thompson. C.S. Lewis is an incredible author. And you know what? If you don't believe in God, he's still an incredible author. Right? C.S. Lewis is just an incredible author and an incredible thinker. Just a really deep thinker, you know. 1984 scared the crap out of you. It should, right? You feel like we're living it. The new speak stuff and War and Peace. I hated. I'm sorry. I had to take notes to get through that. I had to take notes to get through War and Peace, and I did not enjoy it at all. Too many names, man. Right? There are too many names, and they all sound exactly alike. So when they start telling you it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. When they start telling you what's going on, you got to stop, right? And go back and look and go, who the hell are they talking about? Right? Russ, who's Russ? Like, you know, if all of the names are in a different language and they're very difficult to understand, I'm always trying to remember who the heck they're talking about. There's just a lot of characters and their names that are hard. And I honestly had to take notes. Art of War, right behind me. That's one of those that stays on my shelf permanently. Sun Tzu. You could read Sun Tzu every day and it's never going to hurt you. I assure you. I assure you. You know what? We should do more lives on books. We really should. Because I can discuss literature for a long time. Most convicts can, by full disclosure. Um, if you know a convict, chances are there's a lot he can talk to you about reading, because if the ones that didn't read a lot are still in. Um, Animal Farm was disturbing. Sonny Barger's book signed by Sonny Barger. Wow. I read that too. The price of that book, I'm sure, went up right when he passed. Very cool. Very cool. Don't we have Heather in the library? Where's Heather in the library? Tolstoy's hard. Russian literature in general, I really have a problem with because I'm just not very good at it. Lori Hart, have a great night. Have a great night. You're welcome. Wow. Jam. That is, yeah, I mean, it does go in both ways, right? I mean, it really does. My husband did 15 to 25. He said he never picked up a book inside. I wish that he had. Yeah. Yeah, that's hard. That really is. That's hard. Uh, that really is. I am very, very happy that that I was able to take that route, because uh, it certainly changed my life. Right. I mean, really. Um, reading was a reading was something that I started to realize very quickly on, that if you read a lot, then you can have a conversation with just about anybody, right? And um, I also had some, I really had a passion for the sobriety thing. So for me, a lot of the titles and a lot of the stuff that I was reading was just purely on the addictive process and the mind. And Great Gatsby's a great story. Gatsby is an amazing story. Really, really cool. And I love that time period. Uh, yeah, I sent over, by the way, all tons and tons of pictures of all of those watches, because I'm handling watches for a film right now, and it's set in the 1930s, and I've been styling them out with all these period correct watches. But that's just a very cool time. I love historic books set, in the past are just fun. He's been he's 12 years sober. Boy, he did something right. He did something right. Do you know what's incredible, Sweet Tea? I am not a good speller. I am not. I think it's kind of amazing that I can read, if you really want to know the truth, because I struggle in a lot of other ways. I do not have a problem with reading, but yeah, it does not. For me, I really struggle with the spelling, and it's one of the reasons that I don't write well. If I can't spell the word, I don't even try. Like, I'm not going to write it. I use words that I can spell, and that there's a lot of words in my vocabulary that I don't know how they're spelled. So I definitely communicate it a whole lot better when I'm talking versus writing stuff down. Wow, how about this? That is a revelation, is it not? Huh? Just realized I couldn't read drunk, and I love to read. Well, that's a good enough reason, isn't it? Oh, no way. How cool is that? My grand had a beautiful old hardcovers in great condition: Dracula, Frankenstein, War and Peace, Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility. Mom was in the Clan of the Cave Bear book. So good. Wow. Wow, Lisa, you got hooked up. My dad was a very, very prolific reader. And we had a book, a bookshelf, like a large little, we had a library in our house, a room we called the library. It just had a couple of bookshelves in it, but there was a ton of books, and my dad had read every single one of them. He said to me, "I know every book here." Like, he had read every one of them. So if there was a title on there, and I saw it ever again, I had to read it. I felt my dad through stuff like that. He was super into Kurt Vonnegut. My dad was a huge Kurt Vonnegut fan, and yeah, Yes. Here's the thing, and see, no one is ever going to see that, right? So I will write things down in my journal, and I don't care what it looks like, and I can read my gibberish perfectly. I will know what word it is. No one else would. So my writing is just fine. I'm writing, and no one is going to see it but me, right? Um, however, I have to go a different. I have to go a different route, and that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, I am a Kurt Vonnegut was a lot of fun. Parents only left GED books in the bathroom. Well, you know what? That's not necessarily such a bad thing either. Um, yeah, Shannon Smith. That's a good way to put it. I have my own shorthand. It's ugly. You would really have a struggle reading it, but it works for me. You know, it works for me. Your dad had a photographic memory and read so many books. We were constantly donating them. That's very cool. I'm not exactly sure. My memory is difficult to explain. It's not photographic. It's just difficult to explain. And if I explained it, you probably would think that I was crazy anyway. All right, people. That takes us to the top of the hour. And I want you to get a look at this thing here. You see this? That is a cat in a basket, and she's loafing. She is in perfect loaf mode. She likes to hang her snout right over the edge because there's that big, thick, kind of a thing on the pillow that she can rest her head on, which makes her very, very, very happy, which is good. All right, people. We're going to do this again because this was fun. Thanks for bailing me out. I honestly had no idea what I was going to talk about today, and you guys made it fun. I will see you on the next one, right? Tomorrow morning. God bless. I'm Captain Tommy. Bye-bye. Calhounis, you want to say goodnight? There's my boy. What do you say?
Hello. How's everyone doing tonight?
I'll tell you, hold on, just real quickly. You know what happened? I'll be honest. It would have taken me in a direction I'm really glad I didn't go in. Honestly. Let me tell you something that is a theory of mine, and I don't ever want to take somebody that's negative and highlight them, right? And it's such a temptation to highlight the negative, right? To beat on them, to fire back, to do whatever. But you can't hurt a troll by talking about them, right? You can only benefit them. And yeah, Max Headroom. Spanx Calhoun is doing his best Max Headroom imitation. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what he looked like too. Well, that won't be for long. It gives them the. Well, I'm not going to do it. I promise you that I'm not going to do it. So we're not going to do that here. And I almost slipped. I almost slipped. I'm glad I didn't. Alrighty, Calhoun. Thank you, Mischief Manage. I'm going to call it a night. And I'm glad I got through this. I was not feeling like $1 million, Calhoun, to be really honest with you. I was thinking of calling it for us, but I'm glad that I didn't. Okay. All righty, everyone. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next one. You too, Calhoun. Bye-bye.
And see y'all